Avengers of the Arrowverse episode 8. We're going to be discussing Arrow season 8, aka the final season of Arrow, at least right now. Who knows, a couple months or years down the line, probably get a ninth season, more than likely, who knows. So yeah, let's get right into it. I want to point something out again for the second time I've had to do throughout this series. These episodes really do vary on how long the podcast depends on how long it is, because of you guys. If you guys want these episodes to be longer, that's up to you. I can't talk for 40 minutes straight about a topic. I can't. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to go on and on repeating the same thing over and over and over and over just to get a 40-minute mark. The things that would make these episodes longer would be to get your guys' responses. Now, for this episode, again, for the second time this series, we have not gotten any community responses from you guys. So this episode will be more than likely around 20 minutes. Honestly, probably even 15. Because the season is so short, we don't have that much to talk about. I can sum pretty much everything up in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to get it to 15 minutes. But I'm not going to ramble on and on and on repeating the same thing I said just to make it a long episode. I'm not doing that. So, yeah. Just keep that in mind while we're going through. Depending if we move on, which I'm debating whether I want to or not. Just take a break from the podcast. But I want to get the Arrow arc of this podcast done. And I will continue thinking about whether I want to continue the podcast or not. At least right now. And I will let you guys know over next week what I want to do. But that's pretty much what I'm going through right now. So, let's get into it. So, Arrow Season 8, again, the final season of the series is right now. Again, it could always change later, as I said earlier. This was my favorite season of Arrow. It's a very close second to Season 5, but Season 8 was all about Oliver dying and leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I'm not going to talk about in this episode, but it really was the majority of the season focusing on Crisis and learning that Oliver's going to die to save Barry and Kara and billions of other people and infinite number of worlds. So it was an entire arc around going basically down memory lane, with 801 being about like Arrow Season 1 being an ode to that season, with Moira coming back, Tommy, Malcolm, and then we getting Adrian Chase as a Green Arrow. All this is being on Earth 2. We got a little kind of tidbit on Lian Yu on Earth 2 with the Batman mask having an arrow through it instead of it being a Deathstroke mask, meaning, there's a Batman on this universe, or there was at least. Who knows if he was with Oliver Queen or what? I'm assuming he was, or some version. But do you remember that? Well, it wouldn't have been Oliver Queen, because remember, Robert Queen was really to be the Green Arrow on Earth 2 from The Flash. So whether or not Arrow's following that, Adrian obviously followed that mantle. Tommy Merlin, instead of it being Malcolm, was the Dark Archer, which Earth 2 Laurel, who's now the Black Canary, full-on Black Canary, and Adrian, aka the Green Arrow, as I said already, have been dealing with for a while now. And then we bring Diggle back in, and then Laurel joins Oliver and Dig on, trying to save the universe throughout the first couple episodes. And then we're in Hong Kong, I think it was, in 802. Yeah, 802. We bring Tatsu back in, we're bringing in Lila. We find out Lila's working with the Monitor, which again connects to pretty much everything episode past this point, up till Crisis. 803, we brought in Thea. We brought in Nana Parbat again. Nana Parbat, whatever. That place again where Oliver died for the first time, which is why everyone's like, Oliver can easily come back to life, because he has before. And Oliver died as the Spectre. We don't really know his powers fully, so... And they always said there's no body down there, so Oliver could just reappear. I mean, it wouldn't lead to anything, story-wise, that would be bad writing. You could disappear. I mean, it'd be a good story. Then we're dealing with Lila wanting Laurel to backstab Oliver to get her Earth back. She didn't do it because she's not that person anymore. But it led to Laurel finding out that Lila's working with the Monitor. And then they went to Russia. And we brought in Anatoly, Dubrafa again. Oliver being part of Flight Club. And before this, Mia, William, and Connor all came back from the future to our present. Or their present, I guess, not ours now, but their present. And Zoe had died to JJ, who was the future Deathstroke. The future team was kind of like a billion different places. With Mia kind of want to do things on her own and not really believing that JJ can do the right thing, which is not killing JJ, but bringing him to justice. This was before Zoe died. But since Zoe died, they've wanted to kill JJ, and there was a funny little tidbit with killing JJ as a baby, like, baby Thanos, like mentioned in Endgame. Go back in time, kill baby Thanos. But as a baby, or a young child, why would you do that? Because that's stupid. You want to murder a child, you can do that. Apparently, to save the future, but they didn't. I don't think any movie would, unless it's like really messed up and demented, but, which I don't recommend doing that, by the way. If you're from the future and you think it's a good idea to kill a child, like, no. That's never, no. But then we got, in 804, we got a really good fight scene with Oliver and Mia teaming up. And Oliver training Mia more than she already was trained, but just teach her more about what he knows, because she never got that opportunity because he died a little bit after Mia was born, like a couple years, I'd assume. Or not even a couple years, probably around a year after she was born, frankly. So, or a little over a year probably, but yeah, so, and then we're dealing with Anatoly and Oliver, their friendship reuniting again, and actually being brothers now, not, and then Roy came back in 804, Dig brought him back in, looped him back in, because he needed his quote-unquote help. Even though he could have brought Connor, he wanted Roy to come back because of what he learned about the future with Roy being on Lian Yu and never getting Lloyd Bloodlust, but being on a team, it did help him. So John wanted to try to get Roy to, make that future happen quicker instead of Roy being lost in eternal darkness for the rest of his life. 806 was brought back Quentin Lance, which is a very emotional episode. Every time Quentin died, which there are events set up for Quentin to die, there would be a time loop. Every time Quentin died, it would reset. And it was a reward for Laurel to say goodbye to Quinn because she didn't betray Oliver, and Oliver needed to see that he couldn't save Oliver's fate, or save Quinn's fate, so he can't save his own either. And that was the whole lesson of the episode by the Monitor. So, therefore, it just, it was an entire episode. It was a good episode. But the whole thing behind it was Oliver learning the lesson that he can't fight that. And then we're dealing with Oliver and Laurel getting out of the time loop, bringing up on Lian Yu, with Lila and the rest of Team Arrow there, and Mia, William, and Connor there as well. And then Lian Yu isn't blown up anymore. Remember season 5, Lian Yu was blown up. They're harnessing that energy. Lila and the Monitor are harnessing that energy to make a weapon to make sure that they can stop or do something with Crisis, which I don't think was ever mentioned. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Who knows, so. Which I won't be talking about Crisis, and I won't be talking about 809 this episode either. Just Green on the Canaries backdoor pilot. Assuming I keep on going this podcast next week, I'll be talking about Green on the Canaries in a separate episode, which will be episode 9. Again, hopefully, who knows. So hopefully that all works out the way I would hope it would. So then we're dealing with people from Oliver's past coming back, mainly when he was first on the NU, like Yale Faye and the original Deathstroke, not Slade Wilson, the original one, and a couple other people showed up as well. I can't remember their names for the life of me, but they all showed up. And Yale was teaching Oliver a couple lessons here and there to not just sideline everyone like he did before. But it's kind of the same lesson that Tatsu taught Oliver too in 803, that he kept sidelining people to focus on the mission. He can't do that. He shouldn't do that. Which ended up leading Oliver to meet up with Thea and trying to figure out anything that the League knows about the Monitor in 804 or 803. But, yeah. And then we're dealing with William trying to make the weapon. Oliver told William and Mia that he's going to die during this crisis. He can't prevent it. He's been trying to change it because of them, but he can't. Simple as that. And Mia's kind of pissed off about it. She doesn't want to accept it, and she just blames Oliver for it for some stupid reason. And then we're dealing with just that whole family dynamic going on. Roy losing his arm after the plane was shot down. They had to chop his arm off because it was about to be a massive fire, so either you get Roy out or he's going to die. Which is how in the future he ended up with a robotic arm, and he couldn't, he wasn't really Arsenal anymore. He was just Roy Harper until he got the new arm, and he could actually use his other arm again. So then there was a goodbye scene with everyone. Oliver saying goodbye to everyone. Renee and Dinah didn't want to accept it. Mia, emotional in that. Dig was half emotional. He thought he would survive and all that. And he got to say goodbye to William, Roy, or Oliver did at least, and then he died next episode. Again, 809 I'm talking about. 8010, this is hands on the best finale, I think, on any show I've ever watched. It brought back Rory, who was Ragman, and we actually saw him in the suit. Curtis, Laurel, Felicity, which wasn't in the season at all, which we knew from the get-go, but she showed up for the finale. And then Nissa, I think Talia was there, Emiko. Oliver brought back Emiko who died in season 7. Oliver brought back Quentin, who again died in season 6. Brought back some other people, I think. Anatolia was there, Barry, Kara were there for the funeral. Dig was there. We saw Dig at the Green Lantern ring, which turned out not to be anything important, so forget that. We learned that Dig, Lila, and JJ and Sarah, which they both now, are pretty much moving out to Metropolis, which again didn't really lead to anything new, but at least we knew where they were going. And then we're dealing with William being taken, which the younger William. Future Mia was in present day for the funeral. Our funeral. Sarah brought her back for it. And at the same time, we're also doing we're dealing with the obviously outcome of the crisis, Oliver dying and all that. We got a final flashback episode, which is 810. Basically, it seemed like Dig convincing Oliver not to kill a lot earlier than he did. Even though Dig was trying the entire time to get Oliver to stop killing, it seemed like he stopped killing a lot sooner than he did all those years ago. Like in season 2 to 3, Oliver stopped killing, but it seemed like he stopped in season 1. That's when, the timeline changed and all that. Now, Mora was brought back. Oliver saved Mora from a deleted scene that they put into the finale. And it was legit deleted scene from 222 when Mora originally died, or 221, whatever it was, when Mora died. So it was very cool to see that scene being used in the episode. Um, so then we are dealing with just everyone mourning Oliver's death in a way and saying goodbye to Oliver. And then we go to future day, the future kind of, at the end of season 7, where Felicity went with the monitor through a portal and it just cut off there. They continued that, where Felicity went to the afterlife and was with Oliver and Queen Consolidated in the afterlife, and they lived happily ever after. It was a very emotional finale, a very emotional final season. It was a very good final season. The real big bad of this season was Crisis. You could argue the monitor, but they just believed the monitor was bad because of what he was doing. So, yeah. I love this season. I think it was a very good season. I didn't have any problems with it. I do wish Colonel Canaris got picked up. I really do wish it did. Obviously, CW lost out on that. But hopefully something happens with that. I do hope we get something related to Mia again after Flash Armageddon. But who knows where that's going to go. So again, it's a pretty short episode, but, we don't get community response. It's not going to be that long. So, hope you guys enjoyed the button down below. Subscribe for new, notifications on. And I will keep you guys posted on what I want to do for the rest of the podcast series. If I want to keep on doing, I want to take a break from it. So yeah, I'll let you guys know the next week or so what I plan on doing. So, yeah. Thanks for watching every day. Have a good night. And I'll see you guys more than likely whenever I go next. Bye, guys.